like it's just about a done deal. Oklahoma and Texas in the biggest expansion news, I'm going to say it, in the history of college football, joining the SEC. It just doesn't impact the SEC. It just doesn't impact Oklahoma and Texas. It impacts the teams within the conference. And then who knows what the domino effect is going to be. We all have our theories. And we will get one more here. Got Ty Hudson on the line from Pig Trail Network to get the Arkansas perspective on all of this. Hey, Ty.
Yo, what's going on, Mark? Hope you're doing well, man.
I am doing well. How are you?
All right. I'm doing all right. Surviving this Arkansas humidity.
Okay. Well, if you can do that, I'm just going to take you through everything you need to survive as a college football fan and analyst.
That sounds good to me.
Because
we could do that.
Up until this point in the offseason, we already had like a historic offseason, a 12-team college football playoff proposal, NIL, transfer portal going crazy, but this may trump it all. And again, I know we had big expansion 10 years ago with Texas A&M, Missouri, Nebraska, and then the other teams lined up as well. But this would be, from a power broker standpoint in the sport, the biggest expansion we've seen.
Yeah. Texas and Oklahoma, too. We know, even though Texas is not quite back, like they love to try to, they're like to try and tell us on social media, we're back. It's here. They haven't really come back, but there's still when you talk about value as a program, I don't know who else you put in front of them, just in terms of the kind of money and the revenue, the impact they have on recruiting in the state of Texas, their influence just across the Southwest, and even the rare times they have to leave the state to recruit. They can go anywhere, recruit anywhere, no matter if they're up, down, all around. Doesn't seem to matter. Texas is Texas. We know that all too well, and it's one of the reasons why Razorback fans absolutely hate Texas. We kind of feel like they have that uppity look at us, so it puts a real chip on our shoulder here in Arkansas, and of course that made for a really good rivalry in the Southwest Conference. And then you have Oklahoma, who is a playoff contender year in and year out, who I don't have to tell you, but I don't have to tell your audience. They listen to you. They watch you. They're smart enough. They know all about the Oklahoma Sooners, who might even get their first title in the playoff era. They very well could be the best team in the country this season. So a lot of influence between these two teams, and what an impact that'll have on a certain school in Texas. And I know we're gonna talk about that in a minute, but yeah, this is like we were saying before we started recording. There's so much to unpack here. There's, how does this impact Arkansas and in the rest of the SEC, particularly in the SEC West? So this is a shift in college football, without a doubt, a huge shift.
Ty, this move continues to tear the fabric and the tradition of college football when it comes to regionalization, brands, culture, environment, all of that. But that happened a long time ago, and this just kind of continues us down the path of conferences where Nebraska's in the same conference with a school just outside of New York City. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. We're talking completely different cultures. And if there's anything that separates this sport from the other sports, is that when you think SEC football, you think not just the football brand on the field, but it's connected to the lifestyle, the music that people like, the food they eat, everything about life in the SEC, about life in the Midwest, in the Big 10 or the Big 12. And that was kind of the flavor or the character of the sport, was that there was a lifestyle connected to that brand of football. And that's slowly being eroded. Not that Oklahoma and Texas don't have a connection in a sense to the SEC, but it's being torn up from that standpoint. I don't want to put you in a box, because I want to let you just cut loose on whatever you're thinking about concerning this expansion. But of course, as an Arkansas guy with a rivalry with Texas A&M, and you pointed to and alluded to the Aggies, just your thoughts about how this impacts Arkansas football, Texas A&M football as well.
Well, so, the big question, and I had a live show after that story broke a few hours later, and of course I'm in the dark with it. I'm like, I don't know how legitimate this is. I know that out the gate, Mizzou and A&M have already. What the rumor is, they were going to block it. I'm not sure that if that's happened or what the steps are revolving that and preventing them from joining. But it looks like it's all but done. And what I said there on that show, on that live show, was that I think this does have some kind of a negative impact on Arkansas's ability to recruit Texas to some degree, even though, like someone pointed out to me, I had my DMs blowing up that night. I had a couple of people point out, well, Arkansas loses to them constantly anyways in the recruiting battle. And hold on, not so fast. Not so fast. They just picked up a big-time receiver out of the state of Texas who was recruited by Texas in Katron Jackson. Highly rated 4-star, 6'2", 6'3", 190-pound wide receiver. Texas was all over him, doing the virtual tours and all this stuff. And that kind of makes you wonder, if Texas was in the SEC, would that have had an impact on his decision, coming to Arkansas or whatever? We know that playing in the SEC, you're always told, and I remember this being a thing in the 90s and especially in the 2000s when things picked up, it's special to be in this conference because it is the best football conference. And the belief was that, you're picky about who you bring in. And of course, bringing in Oklahoma and Texas, that's the pinnacle of college football. Two teams are a part of that upper echelon. But then, you still have, there's a lot of questions about what kind of impact that these two guys will have when it comes to recruiting those territories west of Arkansas. And you dip into Oklahoma, they've managed to pick up some big time players just right across what seems like across the road at Tulsa, right over the border, an hour and a half just west of here. The AJ Green out of Tulsa Union, and you go further back, Felix Jones. Out of Tulsa. What kind of impact will this have? And I think it will. I think it'll have a negative impact recruiting wise. It's not as damaging as it is to A&M. Obviously, one of the reasons why they have jumped so radically in recruiting is because they were the only SEC program in the state of Texas, and that could change. And for sure, that's gonna have a huge impact on their recruiting. But they had that in their pocket. Look, we're in the SEC. Well, okay, so what? Now Texas and Oklahoma are, and they recruit. It's also about regions of the state of Texas too. You talk about the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Houston, maybe a little bit further out to San Antonio, although I don't think Arkansas ever dipped that far. But there's areas to consider here, and who has the most influence over those areas. And now a lot is about to change with those two joining the conference. This definitely impacts A&M. I know they're freaking out. I've had screenshots sent to me from some of their public boards, and they're freaking out. They're panicking, Mark. They don't know what to do. They're going to lose their threshold in certain areas. They're feeling the impact of this. So, or they're going to anyway. So yeah, it has an impact on Arkansas. I believe that there's no doubt about that. It's going to have an impact recruiting wise. But it impacts A&M a lot more. So maybe that's good for Arkansas. I mean, take every little advantage you can get.
Young football fans, aren't going to know this, but Texas was the big brother, and Texas A&M was always the little brother within the state of Texas. There's no question about that. Aggie fans don't want to hear that, but it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is in regards to popularity, TV ratings, who won the most championships, who stacked up the 10, 11 wins seasons versus the 7 and 5s year after year from Texas A&M. But then, yes, once Texas A&M was able to make this move to the SEC, then they could go into every recruit's house and say, we play in the SEC, we play in the best conference in America. It didn't hurt that Texas was struggling here in the last 10 years, ever since their national championship run in 2009. That's taken away. Now Texas is on the same ground in the same conference.
Yeah, and I don't know what impact. I don't know what could have. What's the biggest nightmare scenario for A&M fans? It's this. This is it. This is their biggest nightmare scenario of more teams further west of our region and the west of Arkansas joining the conference, joining the SEC. Now, sure, if TCU were to follow, if they were allowed in, and Texas Tech, would that impact them? Not as much. But this, I get it. They're gonna have they're gonna grow some gray hairs, some of their fans, just by reading some of their reactions, and on Twitter they're not super thrilled about it. But this impacts, I mean, without a doubt, it's going to impact everybody that dips into Texas. And Arkansas and A&M obviously aren't the only two. We know LSU, Missouri, Alabama, Auburn, everyone dips their toe in the state of Texas. That's the mecca of recruiting high school football. But and the other thing too is, and I'm not trying to segue. I'm not trying to do your job. But then, we were talking about the whole conference realignment part of this conversation. Now we're talking about doing pods. And Mark, you and I were like, how do you, the average casual football fan, this is going to be confusing for some of them. And then on top of that, what about the conference championship, right? How do you determine who plays in this championship if we're doing these 4-team pods to make up a total of 16 teams? Who gets in? And on Twitter, I've already had another response saying, someone in my DMs saying that they're going to have to do a playoff system for the top 4 teams in the SEC. I don't know, man. Good luck with that. I don't know how that plays out. I really don't. So this is all just, there's just so much here. It's just it's like it's a large feast on the table, but we don't know quite what we're eating just yet. We don't know what's in front of us or maybe it's a buffet full of foods that we haven't tried yet. And this is all new and it's new territory. I don't know. I like to reference food because I'm fat, but I think that this is going to be very interesting to unpack over the next however long this takes for them to officially become members of the conference.
Because I thought the conferences were too large as it was. When you're playing an 8-game schedule and you've got 13 potential opponents, you miss 5 every year. And we know what the deal was because of these ridiculous cross rivalries between divisions. Some of them make sense. Tennessee, Alabama, they've got a long tradition. Some of them were just made up. Somebody tried to convince me what the connection between Texas A&M and South Carolina is. I couldn't choose 2 schools that have the least in common in the SEC than those two. So I never understood why that had to hold true for every school in the SEC. But now you've got these pods, and just simple math tells you unless they expand to 9 games, and even if they do expand to 9 games, I don't know how that's going to work out in regards to not seeing particular schools for X number of years, but you have 2 more schools, and even if you play 1 more conference game, you're not seeing teams forever.
Right.
So,
yeah. And I agree too with the pods and all this stuff. I don't know. This is just such new territory for everybody, and I don't know what the answer is. And you're right. I think these conferences they're getting too large. Eventually, how far away are we from just having 2 mega conferences? And now how does that play out for the postseason and who does what and who goes where? Mark, I hate to say it, man, but I kind of miss the old days of like the BCS bowl era. I kind of miss the old day, and maybe I'm just an OG. I just turned 38 last week. Maybe I'm just too old and I'm grumpy. I'm I don't have a newspaper because that's not really a thing anymore, but I'm constantly on my phone just yelling at my phone and griping at these kids on Twitter. I had the Mizzou people all up in arms yesterday. It was fantastic.
From where I sit, Ty, you're clearly not too old because you're still confident in stating your age online. See, you know when you're too old when you don't.
That's
like
true.
This guy over here. I just never state my age.
I had a family member told me, when I was going to do like a birthday stream, and last year we did it and we played like Call of Duty or something, and I stated my age, and I had a friend, well, he's a family friend, and he said, dude, why are you putting your age out there, man? I was like, well, look, I'm not shy. I'm not embarrassed about it. And 38's not old. I mean, I'm realistic, but yeah, I guess I'm just old and grumpy, and I like the things the way they used to be. I do agree that we need to get rid of the 14 playoff. I do agree that needs to expand. I've always thought that was asinine to try and 130 plus NCAA Division I schools, and you're going to narrow this thing down to 4 schools. Why not? I think fans would benefit from a playoff expansion. I don't know. I always boil it down to, is it better for college football? Is it better for Arkansas? Is it better for the SEC to add more teams to the conference? And it just, quite simply, it's not. I've never been a fan of expanding the conference any more than it already was, even before A&M and Mizzou joined. I've always kind of liked just where it was, where we were at before, but you know what, it is what it is. I don't have a problem with the NIL. I don't have a problem with grad transfer rules and the transfer portal and stuff like that. So I guess maybe I'm not that old and grumpy, but I'm telling you, the direction of college football, I know you've talked about this before, but the direction of college football, it seems like every week we have something new that's a big game changer so far this offseason. And I guess I don't know that the dust is ever going to settle. I don't know that we're ever going to look back and go, okay, all right, now we're back to a sense of normalcy. There's no other groundbreaking news. Not that it was all bad. Again, I was for the NIL. I'm all for college football, playoff expansion, and what have you, and the transfer portal, like I said. But yeah, I don't see how this benefits. I don't know that this makes the game of football better or not. I know people love the idea of Alabama playing Texas or Georgia playing Texas or Oklahoma, so on and so forth, et cetera, et cetera. And look, for Arkansas fans, it is exciting to think about playing the Longhorns again. That is exciting. We get to play them this year in Fayetteville, September 11th. And that's, fans are all about it, and of course you've got the hook 'em horn debacle, the Big 12 protecting Texas with that, and oh my gosh, that's going to be fun to see play out in Fayetteville, see how that goes. But not that rule will affect Arkansas, I don't believe, but I think that's a Big 12 thing. But the idea of playing them on a regular basis, on a season in and season out, okay, that might make it better, because Hog fans like that game, and the old guys older than myself, the OGs, they're all about it, man. I mean, I've got older cousins and uncles that love the idea of getting to play them again. So I don't know. I guess it's not all bad, but I don't know how this benefits Arkansas, and I'm not even sure. It will benefit the SEC. Clearly, it's going to have an impact on their TV contracts, the conference overall net worth and value, and those checks are going to get bigger. I think before COVID, it was like $45 million. I don't know. Post-COVID, I don't know what that's going to look like, but they'll benefit financially. But for Arkansas on the field, that may not be the case if you end up having to play Oklahoma and Texas every single year.
I'm going to break this to Arkansas fans, and I say this in all sincerity because I'm one of these old guys, much older than Ty, so add on about 15. So
don't look it.
Much older than Ty. So I'm really one of these guys that loves the old bowl system and the whole deal, except for we need a playoff. We do need an expanded playoff. So I'm all on board, and I was trumpeting NIL as well. I have some concerns, but the athletes need to be able to earn based on their performance and based on their likeness and all that. Okay, back to this. To me, I follow everybody in Arkansas football. I can recite their bowl scores from the Lou Holtz era. Like, I'm one of those guys. So there aren't a whole lot of me out there. There are the fans that I won't even call them casual fans. I'll call them the type fans that watch 2 or 3 games on Saturday and they're into it. But you can only know so much and keep track of so much. And everybody's so hyper-focused on this playoff and hyper-focused on those teams right at the top. I talk to fans every day, and your typical fan doesn't know what Arkansas has done the last 10 years. They'll just tell you they suck. And Bielema sucked, and they can't recite that he took him up the ladder, and then there were some good things going on, and then it kind of fell off there. They don't know that. They really don't. And I don't like that the Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss tier, Missouri, those with additional teams, I think they're just going to get kind of lost in that sea of just middle tier SEC.
It's
and
where
our
that
games don't really matter as much. We want to see Oklahoma and Alabama play. They're playing it tonight or whatever.
Yeah. It's bigger, more opportunities and bigger opportunities for Oklahoma, Texas. And that is going to take away from the kind of mid-tier teams. And I would even argue that Arkansas, the last 4 years, they're not even a mid-tier football program.
Sure,
they're just not. They're a bottom dweller. I mean, it is what it is. And anyone who watches me knows I am blunt with a few more adjectives and swear words on my show. And I'm not afraid to say it. And I'll say it to anyone in my live chat. They are a bottom dweller right now. And now you're going to bring in Texas and Oklahoma. Maybe you do switch Alabama and Auburn over to the East, and you just have those on their sides. But you still have to look at it from a recruiting aspect. And look, man, Oklahoma. Oh my gosh! I mean, they're already a top 5, top 3 recruiting program. I mean, this is just going to put them up there with recruiting. I mean, it's going to feel like, I'm not saying they are going to be the next Alabama in the SEC, but I wouldn't count that out either. If there's anyone who's capable of going toe to toe, if given the same set of circumstances, like being in this conference and reaping the benefits of being in this conference, to going toe to toe with Bama with those set of circumstances, I think it's Oklahoma. Texas, sure. I mean, there's no doubt Texas has had some great moments in their history, and they're lately they've not been good. They've been average or slightly above average, but not where obviously they want to be. But they're going to get the mid-tier teams and lesser teams are going to get looked over, and it's just going to present more opportunities for those guys at the top. And that's just college athletics. I get it. I mean, this is a small market. Northwest Arkansas, rich area. I mean, it's over 500,000 people in between Fayetteville, Springdale, Bentonville, and Rogers alone. Rich area. We know Walmart, Tyson, J.B. Hunt, George's. I mean, you got vendors everywhere. There's plenty of NIL opportunities for players around here. My God, the vendors, Mark. You could throw a football, and you're going to hit a vendor somewhere doing something with Walmart or some sort of partnership with Tyson or something. It's crazy. Plenty of NIL opportunities. So maybe that's where Arkansas can gain some footing here. With all this, we know they're kind of out in front of it with their NIL program, and they're getting their kids involved, and I think that's the right move for them. But yeah, unless the only way I see this working out positively for Arkansas, and it's why Arkansas Twitter supports the pod idea, is if you're in that pod that involves Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Missouri, and Arkansas. That's the only way. And even then, that's just 3 other teams. So you still have to play another 5 teams on that schedule. So who knows what that would look like. But yeah, I like I said, there's so much to this and a lot to unravel. I'm not necessarily completely against it. I'm just kind of tippy-toeing and kind of cracking the door open a little bit. And I'm just naturally skeptical of stuff like this and moves like this when you're talking about conference expansion. But
so Ty, unfortunately, we're way past time, and we got to run here.
Oh, right.
My opinion is all over the place on why this is bad for college football. So I will take up that debate with anyone. It's bad for college football, but my opinion's out there on a zillion different videos, so people can catch up with that. I wanted to hear from Ty here, Ty Hudson, Pig Trail Network. Ty, we appreciate you stopping by.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mark.